Have you heard what happened to Susan Boyle? Because if you haven't, this is going to leave you speechless. She was the woman who silenced an entire crowd in seconds. One song turned her into a global phenomenon overnight. But what the cameras didn't show, that's the part nobody talks about. This is the stunning story of Susan Boyle, from overnight fame to breakdowns, a terrifying health scare, and an emotional return that no one saw coming. Let's rewind to where it all started. In 2009, Susan Boyle was just another face in the crowd, a 47-year-old woman from a small Scottish village who lived alone, never married, and had never even been kissed. The audience didn't expect much. Some even laughed when she walked onto the stage of Britain's Got Talent, but the moment she sang I Dreamed a Dream, everything changed. The judges were floored. Simon Cowell looked like he'd seen a ghost. And within days, Susan's audition went viral, hitting over 100 million views and rocketing her to global stardom. She became the talk of every TV show, magazine, and news outlet. People called her the voice of an angel, and her debut album broke records, becoming the fastest-selling debut album in UK history. But fame came with a price. Behind the headlines and standing ovations, Susan was struggling. The sudden attention was overwhelming. She wasn't used to cameras flashing in her face or reporters waiting outside her home. The pressure was suffocating, and it started to show. In 2010, just 1 year after her rise to fame, Susan had a public meltdown at Heathrow Airport. It was splashed across every tabloid. People whispered. The media pounced. What they didn't know was that Susan had been quietly battling something much deeper. In 2012, doctors finally gave her a diagnosis: Asperger's syndrome. For years, she had been misdiagnosed and misunderstood. That moment, Susan later said, changed her life. It was a relief, she shared in an interview. It helped me understand who I really am. But even with answers, things didn't get easier. As the years passed, Susan began to retreat. The once constant interviews and performances slowed down. She stopped appearing on talk shows. Her albums became less frequent, and eventually, she just disappeared. Fans started asking, "Where's Susan Boyle?" For a while, nobody had answers. Then, in 2023, Susan finally broke the silence. In a quiet interview, she revealed the truth. She had suffered a stroke in 2022. It affected her speech, her memory, and even her ability to sing. The recovery was long and painful. She thought her career might be over. "I feared I'd never sing again," she said. It was devastating. But Susan Boyle isn't someone who gives up easily. Later that year, she made a surprise return, on the very stage where her journey began. During the Britain's Got Talent finale, Susan appeared, looking different, a little more fragile, but glowing with the same quiet confidence. When she sang again, the crowd erupted. It was emotional, powerful. Some in the audience were in tears, and Susan. She smiled even as she admitted, "I had a minor stroke last year, and I fought like crazy to get back on stage. I wanted it more than anything." Her comeback wasn't about going viral again. It was about resilience. So what's life like for Susan Boyle today? It's simple. She still lives in her modest childhood home in Blackburn, Scotland. No flashy mansions, no celebrity parties, just peace. She once bought a new house with her earnings, but didn't like the feel of it. She moved right back into the house where she grew up. She still sings, still records music, and still donates to charity, quietly. She's given thousands to her local church, schools, and community centers, all without asking for attention or credit. And while she might not chase the spotlight has never stopped loving her. Her albums have sold over 25 million copies worldwide. And despite stepping back, Susan continues to earn from royalties, performances, and international sales. Her net worth? Estimated to be over $40 million. Yet she famously takes public buses, shops at the local market, and cooks her own meals. That kind of humility is rare in showbiz. But then again, Susan Boyle was never interested in being like everyone else. What most people don't know is that there's more to her story still being written. There are talks of a biopic, an emotional film that would tell her story from childhood to global stardom. There's also been buzz about a Netflix-style documentary, with unseen footage, interviews, and deeper insight into her rise, her struggles, and her stunning resilience. Because Susan Boyle isn't just a woman with a voice, she's a symbol for anyone who's been overlooked, underestimated, or told they were too old, too plain, or too late. She showed the world that dreams don't have an expiration date. She faced mocking, mental health battles, loneliness, and a near-career-ending health scare, and still came back to stand in the spotlight on her own terms. So if you ever find yourself wondering what happened to Susan Boyle, remember this: she didn't disappear. She stepped back, healed, and chose peace over pressure. And when the moment was right, she reminded the world exactly who she is, not just a dreamer, but a fighter. And Susan Boyle's story, it's far from over.